Ambassador Gray stood at the massive viewing window of the Council's flagship, his tall, slender form reflected against the backdrop of Earth's blue sphere. After 10,000 years of peaceful expansion, the Galactic Council had perfected the art of first contact. Yet something about this planet made Gray's inner sense tingle with unease. "The scans are complete," Ambassador reported the ship's captain. "They have achieved spaceflight, nuclear power, and global communication networks. Standard Category 3 civilization markers." Gray nodded, his silver skin catching the starlight. "Begin the standard greeting protocol. Broadcast on all frequencies in their major languages." The message was simple and had worked countless times before. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Council, a federation of over 10,000 species united in harmony and progress. We wish to open diplomatic relations." Then they waited and waited. In the Council's long history of first contact, no species had ever taken more than an hour to respond. Most replied within minutes, their excitement and wonder filling the communication channels. After 6 hours, Gray called a meeting of his diplomatic team. "Report. What are we seeing from their communications?" The chief analyst stepped forward. "That's the strange part, Ambassador. They're clearly receiving our message. We can detect their monitoring equipment tracking our ships. But instead of responding, they're just continuing their normal activities. Their military vessels have moved to defensive positions, but they haven't powered weapons. Their media networks are running regular programs. It's as if they're deliberately ignoring us." Gray felt a chill run through his body. In all his years of service, he had never encountered this reaction. "Show me their military movements." The holographic display revealed Earth's ships and satellites maintaining perfect formation around their planet. Not the chaotic scrambling of a primitive species in panic, but the coordinated dance of a well-prepared force. "Ambassador," the sensor officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's dark side. They appear to be powering up some kind of planetary shield system." Gray moved closer to the window, studying the seemingly peaceful planet below. "They knew we were coming," he said quietly. "Not just suspected. They knew. And they prepared." The captain shifted uncomfortably. "Should we initiate the second phase contact protocol? Perhaps a more direct approach?" "No." Gray's response was immediate. "Something is different here. Their behavior suggests they have been anticipating extraterrestrial contact for some time. Yet, instead of reaching out or responding to us, they choose silence." He paused, considering the implications. "They're sending us a message through their silence." As if confirming his words, a single text-only message appeared on their communication screen. "Message received. No response required. Maintain current distance from Earth orbital space." The bridge crew stared at the message in stunned silence. No species had ever rejected the Council's diplomatic overtures. The usual response was enthusiasm, sometimes fear, occasionally caution, but never this calm, calculated dismissal. "Ambassador," the captain said, "the Council will expect a report. What should we tell them?" Gray continued watching the planet, noting how Earth's ships had positioned themselves in a perfect defensive grid, showing both their technological capability and their clear warning. "Tell them we've encountered something unprecedented. A species that not only seems to have anticipated our arrival, but has chosen not to engage with us. And most importantly," he turned to face his crew, his expression grave, "tell them we may have finally met a civilization that doesn't need or want our help." As the message was sent to the Council, Gray noticed something else. The humans had begun moving more ships into position, each movement precise and purposeful. They weren't acting like a species encountering advanced alien life for the first time. They were acting like a species that had been preparing for this moment for a very long time. "Keep monitoring," Gray ordered. "Something tells me the Galactic Council is about to learn that not every species follows the expected path. The humans, it seems, have their own plans." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from thousands of worlds filled the circular room, their voices mixing in a chorus of concern. At the center stood Ambassador Gray, his report causing unprecedented worry among the council members. Council President White raised his hand, bringing immediate silence to the chamber. Ambassador Gray, you mean to tell us that these humans not only detected our presence long before we arrive, but have apparently been preparing for extraterrestrial contact without ever attempting to reach out? Yes, President, Gray replied, his voice echoing in the quiet chamber. Our analysis of their historical records shows something fascinating. For centuries, they've been theorizing about alien life, but instead of just wondering, they prepared. The holographic display in the chamber's center activated, showing images from Earth's history. These humans have an unusual trait, Gray continued. They consistently prepare for worst-case scenarios. Their entertainment, their literature, their military planning, all show a species that expects the unexpected. A council member from the science division stood up. But surely they must want our advanced technology, our medical knowledge. Every species we've encountered has eagerly accepted our offer of membership. Gray shook his head. That's what makes humans different. Look at this. The hologram shifted to show Earth's defensive grid. They've built a planetary defense system that rivals our own technology. They achieved this independently, following their own path of development. Impossible, shouted one of the older council members. No species can advance that quickly without guidance. President White leaned forward in his chair. Ambassador Gray, what do your instincts tell you about these humans? Gray paused, choosing his words carefully. They're warriors who have learned to live in peace with themselves. Their history is full of conflicts, but these conflicts push them to advance rapidly. Unlike many species we've encountered, they never stop preparing for threats, even after achieving global unity. The hologram changed again, showing Earth's military exercises. In the week since our arrival, they've conducted 3 major space defense drills. Their ships move with perfect coordination. Their communications are encrypted in ways our best systems can't crack. They're showing us their capabilities while pretending to ignore us. A murmur of unease spread through the chamber. President White raised his hand again. What are our options? We have 3 choices, Gray replied. First, we could leave and respect their implicit request for non-interference. Second, we could attempt a more forceful diplomatic approach. Or third, he paused, looking around the chamber, we could try to understand why they're so different from every species we've encountered. The chamber erupted in debate. Some council members demanded immediate withdrawal. Others called for forcing diplomatic relations. But President White remained quiet, studying the images of Earth's defenses. Finally, he spoke. Ambassador Gray, you will continue to observe, but do something different this time. Study not just their capabilities, but their reasons. Why would a species choose isolation over membership in our council? What do they know, or think they know, that makes them so cautious? As the session ended, Gray looked one last time at the hologram of Earth. In all his years of diplomatic service, he had never seen a species that chose to stand alone. The humans weren't acting out of fear or hostility. Their response was too calculated for that. They were acting out of choice. Perhaps, Gray thought as he left the chamber, we're not asking the right question. It's not about why they won't join us. It's about what they see in us that makes them want to stay apart. The council had encountered a puzzle they couldn't solve with their usual methods. For the first time in their history, they would have to wait for another species to decide if and when they wanted to talk. The council's observation ship hung silently in space, hidden behind Earth's moon. Inside, a team of the galaxy's best analysts worked day and night, studying everything they could learn about humanity. What they found made them increasingly uneasy. Ambassador Gray, you need to see this, called the lead analyst, pointing to his screen. We've decoded more of their military communications. The humans have something they call Silent Shield Protocol. Gray moved closer, his silver eyes reflecting the data streaming across the screen. Tell me. It's not just a defense system. It's a complete response strategy developed over 50 years ago. The humans didn't just prepare for first contact. They prepared for every possible type of first contact. The analyst brought up more files. Look here. They have protocols for peaceful contact, hostile contact, technological trade, biological threats, cultural exchange, and even, he paused, even for the possibility that advanced aliens might try to help them by guiding their development. Gray felt a chill run through him. They predicted our standard approach. Not just predicted, they built countermeasures. The analyst switched to a new display showing Earth's orbital defense grid. See these satellites. They look normal, but they're part of a massive hidden network. The whole system is designed to protect Earth's independence. Another analyst spoke up from across the room. Sir, we found something in their entertainment archives. For centuries, they've been telling stories about alien contact. But here's the interesting part. Many of these stories warn about advanced civilizations bearing gifts. Gray watched as clips from human movies and books flashed across the screen. Stories of alien civilizations offering advanced technology, only to slowly take control. Tales of humanity fighting to remain free. Warnings about the price of accepting help from more advanced beings. They taught themselves to be cautious, Gray murmured. Through their stories, their art, their entertainment, they prepared their whole species to be careful about first contact. The ship's captain entered the observation room. Ambassador, we've detected unusual activity on Earth's surface. They're running some kind of global defense drill. The main screen switched to a live feed of Earth. Across the planet, military forces moved with practiced precision. Orbital platforms shifted positions. Ground-based defense systems activated and then went dark again. All of it happened without a single spoken command being detected. They're not just showing us their capabilities, Gray realized. They're showing us their unity. Every nation, every military force, moving as one. The lead analyst nodded. We found references to something called the Guardian Doctrine in their military archives. After their last World War, Earth's nations made a secret agreement. They would maintain their separate identities and governments, but if extraterrestrial contact ever occurred, they would act as one. Gray watched as Earth's forces completed their drill with perfect coordination. How long have they known we were coming? Based on our analysis of their deep space monitoring programs. The analyst checked his data. They detected our survey ships at the edge of their solar system 3 years ago. They've been quietly preparing ever since. 3 years, Gray repeated softly. Most species would have announced the discovery to their whole world, started celebrations, begun preparing welcome ceremonies. The humans did something else, the captain added. They kept it secret, strengthened their defenses, and created the Silent Shield Protocol, all without causing panic or revealing they knew about us. Gray turned away from the screens, his mind racing. We thought we were studying them, but they've been studying us too. Every move we make, they watch and analyze. They're not responding to our messages because they're learning about us through our actions. Ambassador, the lead analyst said quietly, what do we do now? Gray looked back at the image of Earth, seeing it with new eyes. We keep watching. But understand this. We're no longer dealing with a primitive species learning about the galaxy. We're dealing with a united world that chose preparation over celebration, caution over eagerness, and independence over easy advancement. And that, he added softly, makes them more dangerous and more interesting than any species we've ever encountered. This is a mistake, Ambassador Gray said, watching as the Council's ships moved into position above Earth's major cities. After weeks of silence from humanity, the Council had voted to force the issue. 20 massive ships now hung in the sky, visible to millions below. From his position on the flagship, Gray could see the lights of New York City spreading out beneath them. Similar scenes played out above London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, and other cities across the globe. The Council expected panic, chaos, and a rush to open communications. They got something very different. Sir, the sensor officer called out, detecting multiple launches from Earth's surface. Gray rushed to the display. Across the planet, hundreds of objects were rising from hidden facilities, their paths forming a complex web around the planet. But these weren't missiles or attack ships. They were satellites, small defense platforms, and observation units, all moving with precise coordination. "Message incoming," announced the communications officer. "Audio only, broadcast on all frequencies." A calm, professional voice filled the bridge. "This is Admiral Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your vessels have entered restricted space without authorization. While we acknowledge your attempt at communication, we have chosen not to engage. You have 30 minutes to return to your previous positions beyond lunar orbit. This is not a request." The Council ship sensors suddenly lit up with warnings. The newly launched satellites had created a complex energy grid, connecting with the previously hidden defense network. Earth's orbital defense system was now fully visible, and it was far more extensive than anyone had realized. "Ambassador," the captain said urgently, "their defense grid. It's not just defensive. Those satellites could cripple our ship systems." Gray studied the tactical display with growing respect. The humans had revealed just enough of their capabilities to make their threat clear, while undoubtedly keeping more in reserve. "Send to all ships. Begin withdrawal to lunar orbit." "But sir," the captain protested, "the Council's orders." The Council didn't expect this level of preparation. Gray replied firmly. "Look below." On Earth's surface, there was no panic, no chaos. News channels continued their regular broadcasts, though now they included calm announcements about a planned defense exercise. People went about their daily lives, occasionally glancing up at the massive ships with what looked more like annoyance than fear. As the Council ships began their retreat, another message came through. This time, it was accompanied by a video feed showing a man in a crisp military uniform, Admiral Stone himself. "Ambassador Gray," Stone said, his expression neutral but firm. "We appreciate the Council's interest in Earth. However, we have studied your organization's history of peaceful integration thoroughly. We see how member worlds slowly lose their unique identities, becoming more like each other with each passing decade. Humanity has chosen a different path." Gray found himself nodding. "You've been watching us for longer than we realized. We detected your survey ships years ago," Stone confirmed. "We've had time to study your methods, your culture, and your impact on member worlds. Our silence was not rejection. It was a conscious choice to maintain our independence while we evaluated your true intentions." The tactical display showed Earth's defense grid powering down slightly, a gesture of good faith, but one that left more than enough systems active to enforce their demands. "The Council will need to rethink its approach," Gray said. Stone's expression softened slightly. "Perhaps that's not a bad thing, Ambassador. Humanity is willing to interact with the galactic community, but on our terms, not yours. We will not be rushed, pressured, or coerced into membership." As the Council ships resumed their positions behind the moon, Gray realized they had just witnessed something unprecedented, a species that had not only anticipated first contact, but had prepared so thoroughly that they could dictate terms to the mighty Galactic Council. "Send a message to the Council," Gray ordered. "Tell them we need to call an emergency session. The humans haven't just rejected our diplomatic approach. They've proven it needs to change." The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been running for 3 days straight. The Grand Chamber, usually a place of calm debate, had turned into an arena of heated arguments. The humans' response to their show of force had split the Council into opposing camps. "This is unacceptable," thundered Councilor Red, his fist striking the podium. "No species has ever dared to threaten Council ships. We must show them the consequences of such defiance." Murmurs of agreement rose from one section of the chamber, but Ambassador Gray noticed that many other Council members remained silent, their expressions thoughtful. President White raised his hand for silence. "Before we continue this debate, I believe we should review the humans' capabilities one more time. Ambassador Gray, please proceed." Gray stepped to the center of the chamber, activating the holographic display. The humans' silent shield protocol isn't just a defense system. It's a statement. They revealed exactly enough technology to show us they can match our capabilities, while clearly holding more in reserve. The display showed Earth's defense grid, now mostly hidden again, but still actively monitoring Council ships. More importantly, they showed perfect unity. Every nation, every military force, working together without hesitation. No chaos, no panic, no internal disagreement. That's exactly why they're dangerous. Counselor Red interrupted. A species that united and advanced, choosing to stand apart. They could become a threat to galactic stability. Or, came a quiet voice from the other side of the chamber, they could be exactly what we need. All heads turned to Counselor Blue, one of the oldest members of the council. She hadn't spoken since the session began. For 10,000 years, she continued, we followed the same pattern. Find developing worlds, offer them membership, guide their development. And yes, we've built a peaceful galaxy, but look at what we've lost. She gestured to the gathered representatives. How many member worlds now look almost identical? How many unique paths of development have we inadvertently stopped? The chamber fell silent. Gray showed more images from Earth, their art, their cities, their way of life. The humans didn't reject us out of fear or hatred. They rejected us because they want to preserve this. He zoomed in on a street scene showing dozens of different cultures mixing together. Their unity doesn't erase their differences. They'd found a way to be one species while remaining distinctly themselves. President White leaned forward. What are our real options? Counselor Red suggests force. But the humans' response to our show of strength proves they're prepared for that. What else? We could blockade their system, one member suggested, force them to engage, and lose any chance of peaceful relations forever, Gray countered. Besides, they show them they can detect our ships at extreme range. They would see any buildup of forces long before we could act. Counselor Blue stood again. There is another option, one we haven't tried in thousands of years. She paused, looking around the chamber. We could wait. Let them develop their own way. Show them that we can respect their choice. And if they become a threat? Counselor Red demanded. They're only a threat if we make them one, Gray replied. They've already said they're willing to interact with us, on their terms. Perhaps it's time for the Council to learn how to deal with a species that sees itself as our equal, not our student. President White was quiet for a long moment, studying the images of Earth. Finally, he spoke. In all our history, we've never encountered a species that could force us to question our own methods. Until now. He looked around the chamber. Perhaps that alone is reason enough to try a new approach. The debate continued, but Gray could see the shift in the room. The council faced a choice: adapt to a new kind of relationship with a species that demanded equal footing, or risk pushing humanity into becoming the very threat they feared. The humans, Gray thought, might just change us as much as we've changed others. While the council debated, their intelligent ships made a breakthrough. They finally managed to intercept and decode a high-level transmission from Earth's Defense Command. What they found changed everything. Ambassador Gray, the intelligence officer, called urgently. You need to see this immediately. Gray watched as the decoded message played on the main screen. It was a recording of an Earth Defense Council meeting from 6 months before the Council's arrival. Our deep space arrays have confirmed it, a general was saying in the recording. The Galactic Council's survey ships are exactly where we predicted they would be. They're following the same pattern they've used with other worlds. The next speaker was Captain Rivers, head of Earth's Technological Defense Division. We've completed our analysis of their member worlds. The pattern is clear. Every species that joins the Council gradually loses its unique development path. Within a few generations, they all start to look the same, think the same, develop the same way. Gray felt a chill run through him. The humans had been studying the Council long before first contact, and they'd seen something that troubled them deeply. As if responding to his thoughts, a new message appeared on their communications screen. Ambassador Gray, this is Captain Rivers. We know you've intercepted our transmission. Perhaps it's time we talked properly. Minutes later, a human ship appeared from behind Earth's moon. It was unlike anything the Council had seen before, sleek, advanced, and completely invisible to their standard sensors. Permission to dock with your ship, Ambassador. Rivers' voice came through again. I believe it's time for a demonstration. After receiving clearance from the Council, Gray welcomed Captain Rivers aboard. The human captain was tall, wearing a simple black uniform with minimal markings, but what struck Gray most was her confident, relaxed manner. She showed no fear or awe at being aboard an alien vessel. "Your ships have been watching us," Rivers said without preamble. "Let me show you what you haven't been able to see." She placed a small device on the briefing room table. A hologram appeared, showing Earth's full defense capabilities. The Council's observers had seen perhaps 10% of their true strength. "This isn't about military power," Rivers explained, noting Gray's shocked expression. "This is about potential. Human potential." The hologram shifted, showing various Earth cities, laboratories, and research centers. "We've been monitoring how the Council influences its member worlds. You provide them with advanced technology, teach them your ways, and help them develop. It sounds wonderful. It has brought peace to thousands of worlds." Gray defended. "At what cost?" Rivers challenged. "Look at your member worlds from 50 years ago, then 100, then 200. They all follow the same development path. Their unique characteristics fade. Their innovative spirit dims. They become comfortable." Gray watched as Rivers showed comparison images, Council member worlds becoming more and more alike over time, while Earth maintained its vibrant diversity. "Humanity is messy," Rivers continued. "We argue, we compete, we sometimes fight. But this drives us forward. We develop in unexpected ways. We solve problems differently than anyone else would. We don't want to lose that." "You're not rejecting membership," Gray realized. "You're protecting your potential." Rivers nodded. "We're willing to interact with the galaxy. Trade, cultural exchange, diplomatic relations, all possible. But we will not let anyone, no matter how well-meaning, guide our development. We choose our own path." To demonstrate her point, Rivers activated another function on her device. Suddenly, every Council ship's sensor system went dark for exactly 3 seconds. "That's just one of hundreds of technologies we've developed," Rivers said calmly as the systems came back online. "Not better or worse than yours, just different, because we found our own way to solve the problem." Gray understood at last. The humans weren't being hostile or fearful. They were protecting something precious, their unique way of seeing the universe. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Ambassador Gray stood at the center, presenting his final report on humanity. Behind him, Captain Rivers waited calmly, the first human ever to stand before the full Council. "Honored Council members," Gray began, "we came to Earth expecting to find another species to guide. Instead, we found a mirror, one that shows us what we've become and what we've been doing to other species, even with the best intentions." The holographic display showed images from various Council member worlds, their cultures slowly blending into uniformity over generations. Then it shifted to Earth, showing its vibrant mix of different cultures, technologies, and ways of life. "The humans," Gray continued, "have achieved something remarkable. They've united their world without losing their diversity. They've advanced their technology without following our standard development path. They've prepared for threats without becoming threatening." President White leaned forward. "Captain Rivers, would you care to address the Council?" Rivers stepped forward, her simple black uniform standing out among the elaborate robes of the Council members. "Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not here to criticize the Council. Peace among thousands of worlds is an incredible achievement, but humanity has chosen a different path." She activated a small device, and new images appeared. Earth's ships and satellites pulling back, reducing their defensive posture. "We're willing to establish formal relations with the Galactic Council, but as equals, not as students. We'll trade, we'll share knowledge, we'll participate in cultural exchange. But we will develop in our own way, at our own pace." Councillor Red stood up. "And if we don't agree to these terms?" Rivers smiled slightly. "With respect, Councillor, we're not asking for permission. We're stating facts. Earth will interact with the galaxy on these terms, or not at all. The chamber erupted in murmurs, but President White raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Gray, your recommendation. Gray looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various council members. I recommend we accept humanity's terms, but more than that, I recommend we learn from them. For 10,000 years, we'd followed the same pattern of integration. Perhaps it's time to consider that there might be other ways. He brought up a final display, a proposed new framework for galactic relations. I suggest creating a new category of relationship with the Council. Not members, not subjects, but autonomous allies, species who maintain their independence while still participating in galactic affairs. You would change 10,000 years of tradition. Counselor Red challenged. Tradition should guide us, not bind us. Counselor Blue responded. The humans have shown us that there can be strength in choosing a different path. President White studied Captain Rivers for a long moment. And what guarantees do we have that Earth won't become a threat to galactic peace? The same guarantee you have from any sovereign world, Rivers replied. Our word, our actions, and our shared interest in a stable galaxy. We don't want to be your enemies or your students. We want to be your neighbors. The president nodded slowly, then turned to the council. It seems we have a choice. We can try to force humanity to follow our traditional path and likely face centuries of conflict. Or we can accept that the galaxy might be large enough for different approaches to coexist. The vote, when it came, was closer than any in council history. But in the end, they approved Gray's proposal. Earth would become the first autonomous ally of the Galactic Council. As Rivers prepared to return to Earth, Gray walked with her to her ship. You've changed everything, you know, he said. Other species will want the same arrangement. Rivers smiled. Change isn't always comfortable, Ambassador, but it is inevitable. Perhaps the Council needed a reminder of that. What happens now? Gray asked. Now. Rivers looked out at the stars. Now we all learn something new, how to be different together. As the human ship departed, Gray watched Earth glowing in the distance. The humans had done more than reject traditional diplomacy. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one where unity didn't require uniformity, and where strength could be found in choosing your own path.